All right, we round second, go to third with a triple. NLCS Game 1 getting underway. Blake Snell on the mound, and we're still waiting to get a real sense overall as to what the Mariners or the Milwaukee Brewers are going to do with their pitching.
They're an out away from the championship series. Uribe deals to Carson Kelly, swinging a bouncer to short. Ortiz has it, and the Brewers are going to the championship series.
They're not baseball players that are comfortable. They're still hungry. And hungry players, they make the manager look good, that's for sure. And, you know, it's like, I'm just proud as hell of those guys. And I don't underestimate them.
The 0-1 pitch. Pages grounds it back to Kirkby. He can't find it. He throws home. It's wide. Kim scores. And the Dodgers are going to the championship series.
The main thing, which obviously you've got to play to put yourself in this position, is get a lead. You know, when you have a lead, their aggression is more tempered. And when the wind's at their back, they're very aggressive. And so I think the thing is that if you can get a lead, put a little bit of pressure on them, they're a little bit more conservative.
Yeah, you heard sound there from Pat Murphy as well as Dave Roberts, respectively. And those managers, right, they're going to have their hands full from a pitching standpoint, especially Pat Murphy, who we're not sure who might get this start today. It looks like Quinn Priester might have, a bulk of this. But at the same time, I look at Blake Snell has been absolutely phenomenal. And I think where the Dodgers get the edge is the starting pitching. All of their guys now seem to be at full health and at full strength when you think about the production. Blake Snell, Yamamoto, Tyler Glasnow, including Shohei Ohtani as well. The Brewers typically hit lefties well. And it's been something that they've had success with. But at the same time, Snell has limited so much damage recently against lefties and righties. So I'm interested to see how this matchup goes. One thing, Steve, that I'm looking forward to is the first inning, right? The Brewers have had success when they jump the opposing pitcher in the first inning. And that's a lot of teams, but it's been specific to this postseason for them. And Dave Roberts mentioned that. But the Dodgers have to find a way to do the same thing, try to keep momentum on their side. The first inning is going to be just as important as any inning in this game.
So what's so interesting to me about these two teams is they were number 2 and number 3 in runs scored. The Yankees scored the most, Dodgers second, Brewers third, but how differently they went about it. So the Dodgers hit 78 more home runs this year than did Milwaukee, but they only outscored them by 19 runs. And so what the Brewers do is they get them on, they get them over, they get them in. They're very good situational hitters overall, but in the postseason this year, teams that out-homer the opposition are 16-4 against the opposition. And so now we saw Milwaukee hit some home runs in their previous series, right? They hit 3 solo shots to win the game against the Cubs in Game 5. But their home runs not their bread and butter, right? They're more about manufacturing runs. And advancing runners and speed on the bases and got pressure on the pitchers and getting guys in scoring position. And so this is going to be a real test for them. If it turns into a slugfest, then I think the Dodgers have a major advantage. But that home run differential really stands out to me as one of the key factors in this series between these two teams. Now, I give the edge to the bullpen to Milwaukee over the Dodgers, but if the starters go deep into the game for the Dodgers, then Sasaki could be a 1-inning, 2-inning, maybe, we saw him go 3 innings. If he's a 2-inning guy, then there's very little bridge from the really good starter to the really good closer where Milwaukee's got to try to take advantage of that opportunity.
Yeah, and it could be interesting to see how Dave Roberts employs Tyler Glasnow as well. We've seen him come out of the bullpen earlier on in the postseason, and with him possibly starting a Game 4, could he be available tonight, right? Could he be available to bridge a gap to Roki Sasaki? Because the traditional relievers for the Dodgers have not looked great. And I think that will be of concern. And think about Roki Sasaki, to your point, like it keeps getting higher leverage for him. We've seen him even in the regular season to where emotions can be an issue. Do they become an issue in the championship series and even further past the championship series if the Dodgers get there? I'm looking to see how he responds to the new pressure in this series.
Yeah, going to be really, I'm really looking forward to that series because it feels like it's David against Goliath a little bit. But, you know, because
don't tell the Brewers that
yesterday. Yeah, no, like I get it. But I mean, they, you know, Pat Murphy calls them the average Joes. And so they said, what's the storyline? I said, it's the Hollywood stars against the average Joes. I mean, that's sort of how they've portrayed themselves. And Pat Murphy said, hey, I know, like you look at our players, our position players, we probably don't have anybody that could start on their team. I mean, he does. I think Jackson Churriel probably does on their team. And maybe Terang at second base probably starts on their team. But it doesn't matter. You know, who on paper has the bigger names or the more reputation or anything else. It comes down to who executes and gets it done.
Right.
And the Brewers have executed all season long. Great matchup of managers. It's going to be a fun series for sure. All right, game one of the NLCS kicking off tonight in Milwaukee. That's an 8:08 start time. By the way, game two of the American League Championship Series in Toronto starting at 5:03 Eastern time. Remember, our pregame shows 3 hours before every show, so 2 to 5 p.m. Covering and setting up that game in Toronto, and then from 5 to 8 p.m. setting up the game in Milwaukee. Our crew on the field talking to all the key and main players there. So in the National League Championship Series, we got Blake Snell on the mound for the Dodgers, and he's looked great this postseason. It does feel like coming in, that the Dodgers have a significant advantage when it comes to starting pitching, an advantage when it comes to offense, and, you know, better defense and base running from Milwaukee, maybe better bullpen depth and options there for Milwaukee. The managers are sort of pretty balanced and equal guys. How do you see this series heading into it?
I see the Dodgers just dominating from a pitching standpoint, specifically starting pitching. And I wouldn't say that if I felt like one or any of them felt like they weren't at their best. But the thing is, Steve, all of them, starting from Snell, the Yamamoto, Ohtani, Glass now, they all feel like they can go 7 innings at this point. And I look first at Blake Snell, who we've seen go 7 and then 6 in his postseason. So just being more efficient with his stuff, being more dominant and having the command has put him at another level right now. And you're seeing the trust from Dave Roberts as well, knowing that from a traditional bullpen standpoint, his normal relievers don't look like quite themselves. So the advantage to me comes from a starting pitching standpoint, let alone we know what this offense can do. So I'm wondering how the Brewers really combat that.
So, but that's really been the equation and the formula all season long for Milwaukee, that when we do the comparison, your first baseman compared to mine, your second baseman compared to mine, there aren't a lot of teams that I look at it and think, well, the Brewers are better than that team, but they've played better than everybody. They have the best record in the National League. They're 6-0 this year against the Dodgers. Now, that was in July when the Dodgers didn't have their pitching staff in sync.
Right.
They were struggling a little bit. It was when it was in that run where Milwaukee was just, they couldn't lose. I think they went 29-5 over a 34-game period. The Dodgers were really struggling at that time. And so you look at the numbers in that series, you think that how the Brewers manhandled the Dodgers. Now, they're not going to manhandle the Dodgers, but there is a pathway for them to win. And I know it doesn't, when we start thinking about it and the dominance of the starting pitching for the Dodgers and everybody's healthy, it doesn't feel like the Brewers can do it, but they can do it. And we'll see certainly whether they're able to get that done or not. Where are we going for the morning matchup? We'll talk about it next. Leadoff spot, MLB Network Radio.
New week. Championship Series report presented by Loan Depot, and we're pleased to be joined by Lauren Shehadi, who is in Milwaukee.
Hi.
She's part of the broadcast crew, Brian Anderson, Jeff Francoeur, and yourself. How are you, Lauren?
And Ron Darling. Good morning.
And Ron Darling.
We got
a 3-man booth. Darling's in there?
Yes, we do.
All right.
3-man booth.
I did not know
I can't
that.
wait for it. How are you? I miss you. Scale of 1 to 10 at 10.
Are you talking about for me or for Dero or the collection?
Both of you.
Okay.
How was when did you leave? Yesterday? You flew out?
Yesterday. I got here yesterday, went to workouts. I love all the Brewers guys. Sal Frelick loves that you play his football videos.
Yes.
Pat Murphy is a gem I talked to Caleb Durbin and Bryce Turang.
Yeah, Bryce Turang.
They're
awesome,
awesome guys. I can't wait to get it going tonight.
So Lauren, you know, the media, national media narrative might be, hey, the Brewers haven't been to the World Series since 1982. These guys weren't even born then. But what are they saying about this perceived lack of postseason success, particularly getting back to the Fall Classic?
Robert, I feel like sometimes, and I know you're going to be shocked by this, all of that stuff is just a media thing. I was talking to some of the Brewers, a lot's made about how they're giving their fans a treat and they're winning their first postseason series since 2018. And I was at American Family Field yesterday and I asked them about it, a couple of the guys, and they said, we weren't even here. Sure, we want to win it for our fans, but we're not trying to make up for past failure. That wasn't us, right? 6 consecutive postseason series losses. It was more of a thing to beat the Cubs, right? Christian Yelich acknowledged that. We want to perform for our city and this organization and our fan base. It means a little bit extra, but they're not trying to make up for past time. And there is this, you guys talk about it, we always talk about it, right? This narrative of the underdogs versus the behemoth Dodgers. Yeah. And Blake Snell was in his pregame before today's start yesterday, and he kind of shook his head. He goes, I'm not buying that.
He's right.
I'm not buying it. Yeah. I'm not falling for it. They had the most wins in the land for a reason.
Good point.
I've studied every single one of their hitters, their movements, their tendencies, so we're ready to go.
Tell me about Roki Sasaki. I want you to dive in. I want you to go undercover. I feel like this is an AI.
You calling Roki Sasaki AI?
I don't understand how what we saw in April has now transpired into Mariano Rivera come September, October.
He wasn't as effective as a starter, right? We saw it.
He disappeared to the minors. They went boop, 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 and now he's 100 with a split.
He is. He's automatic. And Dave Roberts talks about him. He said, I want to use him for 1 inning. I really don't want to overuse him. I'd like to use him in every game. We always talk about how it's a different temperament, right? Starters and relievers. Blake Snell said he just looks different. He attacks so different than when he was a starter. He said when he started games, he was more cautious. Now he's just pouring into the zone, pounding the zone. And Dave Roberts told me he's a different guy. He has such confidence because it's, as you say, here's 100, hit it or don't. And now the challenge is how much can he pitch? Can he give them 2 innings? Can he give them 1 inning? Can he be their closer every single night? It's going to be interesting because they might need some bulk relief, right? Their starters have gone the distance with the exception of Yamamoto, the 4 innings he pitched. So who's pitching the 8th, right? Who's pitching the 7th if they need that? And Roki Sasaki will kind of go in between. But
do you bob and weave?
It's real.
Do you bob and weave between dugouts, or do you stay one place?
During the game?
Yeah.
Well, I do manager interviews on one side, but I just try to disappear. Dodger Stadium, I don't even walk on the field because I don't want to.
I want you to like pay attention to the. I want to know how his teammates respond to Sasaki. Like when he walks off the mound, who's he talking to? Like who's coming up to him? I want to know more. Is it like Ohtani?
Okay.
Lock in on that.
I'm going to do that for you.
Lauren, what are the Dodgers saying about Shohei Ohtani and his quote-unquote struggles at the plate so far this postseason?
It's so interesting, Robert, because guys can have a bad 4-game stretch in May and nobody talks about it, right? But if it's in the playoffs, then it's so-and-so, can't handle October. If they have a bad series in October, they're not clutch. That's not how baseball works. You know that. Dave told me he's just flying so open at the plate. He's unable to connect when the pitcher makes a mistake. He almost loses the plate. And I saw him at workouts yesterday. He's big on getting himself mentally ready, right? Grounding, visualizing. Dave thinks he'll be just fine. Also, it's not like Christopher Sanchez and Jesus Luzardo are easy to hit.
Yep, correct.
The lefties with the lower 3/4 arm slot, it give him fits. That matchup is not a good matchup for him. D-Ray, you talked about it going into that game. So it's not like he saw
That's
guys
a bad matchup all around for him.
So it's a bad matchup.
Yeah.
For sure. So, and it was a 4-game series, and you can have bad at-bats, and then it's, what's wrong with, but they do see some mechanical issues and swinging at wrong pitches. So he hopes to kind of change that today.
Well, enjoy game 1.
Yeah.
It's
That's
you.
it. I miss you.
Yes, miss you too. It's yourself, Brian Anderson, Jeff Francoeur, and Ron Darling. And if you could pass along this note to the execs that you see anywhere, please no more in-game interviews while the game is going on. I get such anxiety when the managers are doing interviews while the game is going on.
Okay, well, at TBS we tape them, so
I
that's
know.
good.
That's what I like. That's what I like. So
okay, you
tell
want
want
them taped.
intel on the Japanese players. That's what I'm looking for out of you.
I've got my
boots on the
homework
ground.
assignment. I will report back.
Enjoy the game tonight, Lauren. We'll talk to you tomorrow. All right. Bye, Lauren. There you go. Tears in heaven, would you know my name if I saw you in heaven? So stupid. So stupid. This is a stupid little show we have here.
It's not little. I walk through the airport. People are like,
what do you make of this?
Accosting me.
What do you think of this? We know Blake Snell tonight.
Well, listen.
Nays has some issues with this lineup here.
I want to take you through as to why. Because normally Ohtani has been pitching the day before the off day.
Yes.
For offensive purposes.
Correct.
Allow his
body. Offensive numbers.
If he plays the next day, they're certainly affected. If he gets that next day off. Listen, at the end of the day, you got to get Snell and Yamamoto the ball as much as possible.
Yes.
Snell is throwing the ball as good as he might be throwing the ball the best.
Yeah.
And Yamamoto, so you're going to give them a chance to touch the ball multiple times. I think the thing for me is Ohtani, they need his offense to get rolling. They've proven they can win a series without his offense rolling, but I think if you had to pick between his pitching and his offense, you'd want his offense to get rolling. So if he only touches the ball one time in this series, you'd be okay with that. Nays, am I missing anything with the way they're rolling this out there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Glass now on regular rest for Game 3.
And the fact that Yamamoto doesn't, he needs the full rest in between. They've done that all year for him. So they're going to
clearly good options for the Dodgers. I think it's going to be a really fascinating series. Really fascinating series. I can't wait to see these two teams interact.
And the Brewers beat them 6 straight.
That's true.
But it's sporadic. It's a 7-game season. It's long. It's like last night. Lock it down, play baseball. Springer hits the homer. We're going to be here a while.
Absolutely. I'm not sure.
No, I think it's good. And here's the thing, because they found pitching elsewhere, I would have traded the pitching to get the offense. Right. I wanted it earlier.
Sure, he's going there. Blake Snell for the Dodgers. TBD for the Brewers. You never know who's going to show up. Dodgers-Brewers, Game 1 of the NLCS. Brewers extended to a Game 5 of the division series, beat the Cubs on Saturday. They used enough pitching that we still don't know who might be going. Could be Quinn Priester, Jose Quintana. They have some options, or they might open it and let it ride with multiple pitchers. I just want to throw this in here. So here's the Final Four. Here's where they are. We look at the game through the lens of economics frequently on this program. So there's the number 1 team in payroll. There's number 5. That's the Blue Jays. That's big boy baseball. Mariners a little lower, Steve, than I thought at 16th. And the Brewers, we know, does a lot with a little every single year. They're 25th.
Mariners cut payroll a few years ago. Remember, they had the TV deal sort of was in limbo, so they pulled back a little bit on it. But what they did, they were able to get the wherewithal, the financial flexibility to add at the deadline to impact the specific areas they needed. So you don't take the full hit of the payroll, but you get it down the stretch.
I've seen historically, Jake, you can win if you're right in the middle of the pack there. When you're down around 25 out of 30 clubs, that's hard to do.
Absolutely remarkable. When you talk about David versus Goliath, this is truly it. And I think most people think it's a foregone conclusion that the Dodgers will advance. Yeah. I don't think it's as guaranteed as people think.
Here's the test, again, of all we've been talking about how baseball-y they are, and we love their base running and the fielding and all this, but they had the best record in the game. They had the best run differential in the game, and this year, people ask, can they beat the Dodgers? They didn't lose to the Dodgers. They're 6-0 against them. Should we believe a little bit more in the Brewers?
Yeah, I think we should. I mean, they do it differently. And again, in postseason baseball, home runs play. The team that out-homers the other team is 16-4 in the postseason. The Dodgers hit home runs. They hit 78 more home runs than the Brewers did this year, yet they only scored 19 more runs. So the Brewers manufacture. They get them on, they get them over, they get them in. They stole 164 bases compared to 88. So their stolen bases turned into 54 runs this year. The guy who stole put himself in scoring position, led to 54 runs coming in. So they do it differently. But if they pitch, they can find ways to win games.
Now, again, I've mentioned Tandon rested, the Dodgers starters. They barely used their guys, and now everybody's just about ready. Here's Blake Snell against kind of pitching chaos for the Brewers.
I don't mind this, though. I think Quinn Priester is going to have a bounce-back outing. Quinn Priester was fabulous all year long. We did not talk about him enough. I think he's going to get in this game after an opener possibly neutralizes 2 lefties up top. If they go that way. So I'm not worried about it. I think the Brewers have to keep this series close. If they can manage to stay in the game till the 6th inning versus these great starters and start to force and play their type of baseball versus some relievers that are gettable, they can win the series.
Shohei Ohtani 1 for 18 against the Phillies. Obviously, from series to series, it changes, especially with a guy at his level. However, he does pitch. He could be gassed a little bit. Your thoughts on Ohtani?
Yeah, I think he's pulling off the ball a little bit, too. He really is. His front shoulder's going a little bit, and we don't often worry about his mechanics because he's been so consistently good. But I'm not worried about Shohei Ohtani. If that's the Dodgers' biggest problem, then those are rich people problems right there.
Well, they're rich people, by the way.
Yeah, they are. Oh, yeah, they are. Oh, yeah, I saw that. Remember the payroll thing.
Remember how rich they are?
He's pulling off a little bit, but he's just one pitch away from hitting it out of the ballpark and turning the game around. So I'm not worried about him at all.
Right. There's rich and then there's wealth, as Chris Rock used to say. They have wealth. What are your thoughts on Ohtani?
When you talk about him pulling off, I wonder if it has something to do with this being his right arm and this right here trying to, not being as strong or tired, weak, and not being able to stay in there and really fire, so he's cheating a little bit to start there. That could be happening. Here's what I'll say. I don't care. This lineup has got enough. When you watch him throw the baseball, giving up 3 runs in Philadelphia and staying in that, going 6, nobody thought he was doing that.
He showed a lot of doggedness.
He means more. Yeah. He's winning his game as a starter. I'm starting him and hoping he can hit.
That's the trade-off I've been talking about. All right, that'll be tomorrow. I'm going to save it. I'm going to show a little discipline here. I want to get to an unbaseball-y play. We didn't have a ton of them. There's baseball-y plays left and right. We showed a few of them. But, this for Victor Robles. Jake, what is happening? He's got the defensive card in his teeth. What's going on?
You're not ready, I can tell you that.
It's a bad feeling, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now, in his defense, he is preparing. He just didn't finish preparing.
Prepare a little bit earlier, please. That's all I'll say.
Yes. Now, Steve can't talk. Why? Because he was checking what's coming up in the next segment. That's coming up. All right, think baseball. We say you don't have to talk. It was a better segment. Who has thrown the most pitches? It's better when you can't speak. All right. So
it's time for Front Office Insights presented by Sage, and we are excited to be chatting with Brandon Gomes. He's the general manager of the Los Angeles Dodgers, standing by as his club gets ready to take on the Milwaukee Brewers. NLCS Game 1, Snell against an opener in Aaron Ashby, and Brandon joins us now. Brandon, good to see you. Congratulations on another great run for this Los Angeles Dodgers team. We were waiting with bated breath to find out if the Brewers were going to start. How did your group deal with that?
I think kind of had a general sense of, when they didn't actually announce a starter that it would be an opener, and, just prepare for a few different options and, get out there and game plan as much as we can. And then once it became official, circle up and go from there.
How much game planning do you take into account the 6 games that you already played against the Brewers earlier this year? A lot's being made that the Brewers beat you guys all 6 times. Do you look at that as legit intel, or are these two teams so different right now?
Yeah, I think it's part of the equation. We're a different team. They're a different team right now. And obviously the postseason changes things. So it's certainly baked into what we're doing, and kind of, looking forward, it's take that and where our guys are at, where their staff is, and, go out there. And really this time of year is just about execution and who's playing the best baseball. And I think that's the goal for each side, is to go out there and play sound fundamental baseball, and, things kind of work themselves out from there.
What aspect of the Brewers impresses you the most?
I think it's the fundamentals and the way they are, they look to apply pressure, their base running, taking the extra base, hitting cutoffs. They're a dynamic group. They're a fun team to watch, and they do all the little things, and they also have some real talent in there. So, they're very, very well coached, very well put together, and we're looking forward to the challenge.
It was a challenge to keep all of your pitchers healthy this year, Brandon. It really was. Could
Just
you have
this year?
scripted? Yeah, this is unbelievable. Like this year specifically, and my good friend Dan Plesac was very worried about the health of the Dodgers pitching. It really did heal up at the right time. Could you have scripted a better health outcome for your arms as it stands right now in the postseason?
Yeah, I think this is, as good of a starting staff as we've had since I've been here for sure. Our guys are in a good place, having gone through a regular season and not being overly taxed and throwing the ball well right now. And, we at times this year didn't play great baseball, but over the last few weeks, guys are coming together and locking in and playing good fundamental baseball and executing pitches on that side and doing the little things offensively when we need to. So right now, overall, we feel like we're in a good place and look to continue that this series.
I found one stat interesting. The Brewers have the most wins against left-handed pitchers in baseball, highest batting average against left-handed pitchers in baseball. Did your group hesitate and pause at all to go, we're starting Blake Snell game one?
No, Blake's been great for us, and he's somebody that loves this big moment, and we know the challenge that's ahead, and they're obviously a very talented team as well. But we didn't think twice about Blake being our guy here.
When you signed Roki Sasaki, did you ever think his role would be what it is right now in your bullpen?
No, to be quite honest. This year for Roki, it obviously there's been ups and downs, and to his credit, as we got closer, he was like, hey, I just want to be able to help this team any way possible. And, we all are well aware of the talent, and, his not being healthy earlier in the year was evident. And as he came back and started to get stronger and make those adjustments, we start to see the big boy stuff that he's shown in the past. So it's been obviously incredibly helpful for our team, and we'll take it for now and run it out, and then next year we'll get him back starting games.
Also in that bullpen with Roki is Clayton Kershaw. Was it a difficult decision for your group to include him on the NLCS roster?
No, I think Kersh means so much to this team, and what he means as a teammate, what he can go out and do on the mound. We felt like it was important for him to be a part of the group and going out there. We know he's going to help us win games in a lot of different ways. So we're excited that we've got hopefully a few more series with Kersh as part of the Dodgers.
And what's the latest with Tanner Scott, the left-handed weapon that you guys signed in the offseason? How is his health right now?
He's sailing up right now. Nothing too stressful right now. So he's much more in the healing process, and hopefully in the next few days we can get into some baseball activities. And
one more for you. We had a little wager on our show where if I believe Shohei Ohtani is going to start game 2, Dan Plesac said he's not going to start game 2. And if Ohtani does not start game 2, Dan gets to open up a bottle of champagne and pour it on my head live on the air. I get to do it to Dan if Ohtani does start game 2. So I'm talking to the GM of the Dodgers so you can settle this. Who's going to start for the Dodgers game 2?
I feel like you guys need to sweat this out a little bit longer. So we'll talk about it more post game, and then hopefully we'll see some champagne being poured out at some point.
We want the champagne on Greg, Brandon, please.
Harold's
I like that bet, though.
It's a good bet, right? And it'll be live on the air whenever you guys formally announce it. Okay, Brandon?
All right.
Hey, I appreciate
Great.
your time. Thank you for doing this.
All right. Thanks, guys.